Hello! In this podcast, I have conversations with women who are building their businesses in their own way. We speak about the paths they've walked, the moments of meeting their edges, and the shifts that followed and allowed them to integrate feminine energetics into their work. These are honored conversations about building, leading, and creating from the inside out, meant to inspire women to unmute their voices and build in ways that are uniquely their own. Today, I am welcoming Marcia. She is a woman who found her true calling through her own breaking point, when her body forced her to listen, question, and choose a deeper path of healing. Her journey taught her to trust symptoms as messages, to honor the wisdom of the body, and to see women as complex, whole beings deserving to be fully heard. Today, she stands as a compassionate guide who believes that when women understand their bodies, they reclaim not only their health, but their strength, their beauty, and their fearlessness. Hello, Marcia. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's lovely to have you here. So, to start with, I would love to hear a little bit more about you, what you do, and from there, please take us into your world.
Well, I will do that. As you said, I am a nurse practitioner, and like you said, I learned, a lot about healthcare through myself. I've always, I think I said I'm a nurse practitioner, and so, that is an advanced practice nurse. So you have to start with nursing, and I've been doing this career for about 30 plus years. So I've seen all kinds of things, done all kinds of things. I was very deeply ingrained into the traditional healthcare world. I always used to tell people it's not what I do, it's who I am.
Mhm.
So, when I ended up sitting on the other side of the table, I became a little disappointed in that traditional healthcare system, and that took me down a whole new path, which has been phenomenal, very phenomenal. So I've built many businesses off of the traditional healthcare. I've got my own practice. And when I did do the crash, it enlightened me that what we're doing for women just isn't right. It just wasn't right. I followed all the protocols, I did all the things. I was like, I'm a type A personality, like buy the book, buy the book. And
Mhm.
then it failed me. And
Yeah.
when it failed me, I'm like, okay, well, we've got to look outside the book because the book isn't working.
Yeah.
I was, offered an antidepressant, which kind of like, I was like, excuse me, what? What?
Well, we can't find, well, it's a little bit typical. We can't find anything wrong with you, so it must be between your ears.
Yeah, because I was having all these crazy symptoms and things are going on, and like my colleagues are going, there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm like, no, there is. And they're like, no, there isn't. And
Yeah.
so it took me down the path of I'm very hard-headed and determined, and I'm like, oh, there is an answer to this, and I'm going to find it.
Yeah.
And so that is exactly what I did. I went down this path and ended up finding functional medicine.
Yeah.
Well, what I found in that is that we as women need to be treated completely differently than men. And
Yes.
so, yes, I set out to completely change the way that I practice, the way that women are seen. I'm on this mission to transform, healthcare for women
Mhm.
and bridge that gap between the traditional healthcare world and the holistic world to where we do understand our bodies and that we are unique.
Was there, I love that you are taking us immediately, boom, right in. And I absolutely love this. Usually we speak about businesses and what needs to change according to being women in businesses. And what I hear in what you did and what you've been through is from that personal experience of yours, where you found out that women need to be treated in a different way than men when it comes to healthcare. There's also a different way of you for you to build your business. So I definitely wanna get there. I'm also a little bit curious. Was there a kind of disappointment also for you when you were confronted to the fact that the world and the industry you had been working in and that you passionately were working in, that you found out, well, I'm hitting a wall and I can't get further and I'm not heard or nobody's listening to me. Was there a kind of disappointment?
It was extremely disappointing. It was like my
Mhm.
world crashed. My world was already crashing physically.
Yes.
And then that just, it was a huge disappointment. But that was the drive
Mhm.
towards, the revamping of the way I do business
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
moving the business forward because you can't just stay stuck.
No.
And so I not just went non-traditional with healthcare, but with business also.
Yes.
And that's where that determination led me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the background to it as to how I like, because I'd done all the things. I had my own practice. I was doing aesthetics. I was like, if it could be done, I was doing it. I didn't realize what an entrepreneur that I was until I just started going, oh, I can do that. Let's start another business. Let's do another business.
And what was the driving force behind all this doing? Let's do another, let's do, I hear you say that. So what was the driving force behind that?
My driving force has always been an intention and a purpose to help someone.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first opened my business, now I'm in a very rural area, so that I'm not like it's probably a little different understanding for a lot of women that are starting businesses. I'm very rural, so very small community. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to work in a hospital, and I would get furious with the way that, the providers that came in that weren't from our community would treat people.
Mm-hmm.
And that pushed me to move forward in my path, to do what I had to do to get the advanced degree, to open a practice here that understood people from where
Mm-hmm.
they were. So I'd kind of already seen this
Yeah, there
disillusionment.
was already this deep desire of you to look at the individuals instead of just generic people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always been what happens to me is something I find an injustice or find something that just isn't right, and I go, "Oh, no. We can do better than this." And you either complain about it or you do something about it.
Mhm.
So I usually decide to do something
Do.
about it.
And I like to talk about feminine energetics, masculine energetics. If you look now back on how you were doing things, maybe you use other words for that. I like the words feminine energetics
Oh,
because
yes.
it's what flows the most with how I build. Do you can you notice what the difference was between the doing then and the doing now? Because you're still a doer, you're still the same
Yes,
person.
I'm
You're
still a
just
doer.
building differently. So, what is there in your doing that changed?
So you're right. There definitely was more of a masculine energetics in the beginning. And definitely as a woman, I was going against the grain. Definitely going against the grain. And in a small community, you put all these pieces together. And back then, being a nurse practitioner and having your own practice was very new. Uh,
Mhm,
Now that's not, such a big deal. But back in the day, I was pushing the boundaries everywhere, like
mhm,
doing all the things that women don't do. And each time it brought great success.
mhm,
And I believe that the feminine energy piece was that I brought compassion and
mhm,
purpose to
mhm,
everything that I did. My intention was always purely
mhm,
to help someone. That is what drove the businesses, I believe, because it wasn't just a let's write it all down and let's connect all that. I mean, you have the back end of that and more of that power forward that's a masculine type energy.
yeah,
But I also put the feminine touch to it.
yeah.
It brought it full circle. And I believe that's where all the success comes from.
Yes, exactly. We need both, but we need both to be in balance and not the extreme side of the energy, the feminine energetics or the masculine energetics. So it's yes, exactly like you said, the balance and both aspects to move forward in a different way. And we'll get to that because I really want to hear what you have to say on that. But I'm also very curious. So you met your edge actually because you physically, your body was telling you something is wrong, but the system was telling you no, there's not. And so, in your journey to that's the moment that you met your edge. What happened then?
So that's when I discovered what was different in me because of being a female also.
Mm-hmm.
And what was being misunderstood was the hormone connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot of times, most of the time in traditional healthcare world, we don't look at the hormones of a woman. We don't look at the fact that,
Only when they turn, when they,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, okay.
But we as women, we're all hormones. And that's why, everything that I'm doing now is towards women being unique. And
Mm-hmm.
it's because we not only have our hormones, we have so many responsibilities because we've been the caretakers, the doers, the everything on our shoulders. We can take it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I define strong. Our misinterpretation of strong is because that's what we think.
Yeah.
We have to just keep pushing forward. So
Mm-hmm.
the whole time I'm building this business, I've got a family, I've got a spouse, I've got all the things that I still have to take care of
Mm-hmm.
and build a business, which really changes everything. And then, like I said, the hormones. So we have cortisol, we have insulins, we have our estrogens, all the things that are happening. And no one ever mentioned that. I did find, I originally started with hormone optimization for myself, and that worked for a little while. I was like, okay, okay, this is gonna, okay. And so I started exploring that more. It only lasted for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking deeper, and that's where functional medicine takes you, is much deeper of, okay, so why were my hormones off balance?
Yeah.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
It was the stress, it was the cortisol, it was the push, push, push. So understanding the why takes it then into the next level of being able to level all of that out and balance everything. Like you said, the feminine with the masculines, we're balancing the world, and that's where we need to be is what to make success.
Yes, I believe you, and I completely agree with you. Especially you're in the US, I'm based in Europe, and in Europe, whenever you talk about hormones to your doctors, they look at you like you're going to take drugs. Hormone replacement therapy is something you only do when you wanna, have more muscles, for example, as a man. So it's here in Europe. It's something that's like even further away from the baby shoes. There, and so when I hear you talking about this, I'm really really happy because I believe the way our hormones are actually, it's you can want to change your lifestyle, your food, or moving more, or changing your sleeping habits, but if your body is not working together with you, you are going to only encounter this wall of, and you don't understand what it is, and it's just a driving force for disaster actually. So when hormones work together, because when you understand what is happening in your body, you can act differently and choose the foods that are according to, because I know, for example, cortisol also really reacts to the kind of food that you eat.
Mhm.
So the combination of everything makes you a wholesome woman instead of a woman that's just going, 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 going. So yeah, I'm really happy to hear you say that.
Oh, yes. And
Yeah.
hormones are also one of the things that in the feminine world they hold against us, like, oh, they're hormonal or they're like, I hate that negative connotation of hormones in so many different worlds. But things are changing. I love that there is a shift, that
Yes.
we're understanding our bodies biologically.
Yeah. And this
And
whole understanding of well, this whole, everything that is being said about women's hormones is also based on the fact that we live in a world that is very hierarchic. We build, we create, we have families, we function in a very masculine way, according to a masculine blueprint. I'm gonna say that's maybe a
Mhm.
better way of saying it. And so whenever this softness or gentleness that women bring with them is in, it's like, oh, everything is destabilized and we need to make it smaller because we don't understand it. Isn't that what people do? Let's make fun of the things we don't understand because we don't have to deal with it.
It's true. And in traditional healthcare, we're not supposed to have feelings either.
Yeah.
So you're taught, and training is, you have to go in and it's very methodical and it's, protocol based, and it's, yeah, don't bring feelings into it. So when you have, a shift to where you're like, and how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
The only place that was brought up in any training was in psychiatry.
Mm-hmm.
So I always found that fascinating that the only time you were to ask someone, how does that make you feel?
Mhm.
Was if you were treating them for, psychiatric concerns.
Yeah. When in truth, uh, and however I feel about something is also going to dictate how I step forward with it. And so if something feels really off in our systems for whichever reason, it's going to be very difficult to move forward. So you hit a wall, traditional medicine wasn't helping you. You chose to probably with a path that wasn't straightforward to look into your hormones. And what happened then? What did you find out personally? Would you be open to share about that?
Absolutely. So what I did find was it was all the years of the climbing and the growing and the business building and everything that I was pushing forward to do that caused the crash.
Mm,
So I was getting these crazy symptoms, like my face would go numb, I have weakness in parts of my body. I was so convinced that I had multiple sclerosis or some weird diagnosis that nobody could come up with. Like, of course, we go to worst case scenario.
mhm.
But when I found functional medicine, it was like the heavens opened and the angels were singing because they're like, no, honey, it's your blood sugar was dropping, your cortisol was high, you had this anxiety. Like, we went through the path, and what I learned was that it was all in the story.
Mhm.
And so, even to myself, living the story,
Mhm.
didn't realize what was happening to my body all along.
Yeah.
And, once I was able to connect the dots, things started to come back. I learned that I had to take more time for myself. I had to stop push, push, push. I had to nourish my body. Like it was depleted,
Yeah.
so depleted. And so that's when I had crashed and hit the wall, and I couldn't, like, in this whole thing that I love my patients, I love what I do. I couldn't make myself function. I had lost my drive. I had lost my intuition, even. These are all the things that made me who I am.
Mhm.
And so to live in that world was so difficult.
Yeah.
But once I started bringing that back, there came the drive back, but I learned how to manage it better
Yes.
after I started to heal. And so it didn't stop me from, continuing to build and push forward and they said change the way that I do business and healthcare and patients. It just motivated me to do it in a better way and to help people to learn from what had happened to me.
Yeah.
So again, an intention and a purpose and a drive, but from a healthier way.
Yeah. And I know you took that experience into your unique method, and I definitely wanna hear about it because I think this is so important for every woman on earth. And I'm also curious, what is it that can you name a few things that you changed in the way that you build? So you didn't you at one point you were down the hill and you found your drive back, but what is it that you still do today that you do differently than before the crash, I'm gonna say?
So now I actually take more time. I don't do like, I used to see 30, 40 patients a day. It was like, you know,
Yeah.
they need me. They need me, and that's what I like. I would sacrifice my time, my own self to make sure everybody got seen. And
Yeah.
so now I don't do that. I've really scaled back to where you get 30 minutes, you get an hour, depending on what we're doing, what we're working on, and we're both present
Hmm.
inside of our meetings, inside of our visits. We do a lot more interaction like this. I want to know the person. It's not just about a lab test. Lab tests are very, very important. I'm a believer, in certain things we need to find to uncover what's really happening. But it's more about that story and that connection,
Hmm.
that understanding.
Hmm.
And you can't do that in a 10-minute visit. And so my schedule, my life has changed, the whole practice has changed, and I'm actually more successful with doing that,
Yeah.
have patient outcomes better, more improved.
Hmm.
And then I've just kind of built into it a membership to where if you really want more,
Hmm.
people can go into this other realm, this other world where I go deep, deep into things.
Hmm.
So I just had to shift, pivot, find a new way that I could spend more time,
Hmm.
get more, you know, um, intention and purpose with the visits, which has
Presence.
brought much more benefit to the patients.
Yeah. Did you also start looking at the patients in a different way, in the sense that not only looking at the ailment or the thing that was hurting, but also to the whole person, so the rest of the
Absolutely.
body, and yeah.
Yes, because traditional healthcare is about systems, and diagnoses. And your symptom is a diagnosis that leads to getting a test approved here. That's how it works. But that's not what's going on. Yeah, when you do make that connection and you do ask about the story, you can start to explain, well, that might be because of you're holding something inside of you that you've never released. You've got all these years of this buildup
Mm.
that have just been inside the body that we have to layer by layer peel back, and your symptoms are going to start to improve. Now, not that it's all about, the mental, the emotional, but that's such a big piece of it.
Well, I also often speak about the fact that when I speak to my clients that love to have a quick fix, like in a split second, I want to be healed, or I want to understand this, or I don't want to have this bad habit anymore. I always say, yes, but where you are now was built based on everything that you've done before this. So, for example, if it took you 10 years to get here, be prepared that it's going to take 10 years to get out of here. I hope not.
Hmm.
I hope it's much faster, but give yourself the time. People are then all of a sudden, when they have this idea that they want to address something and change something, all of a sudden it needs to be now. And so it takes time to unpeel the layers and to look deeper into the person. Yeah.
It does. And people are used to wanting a pill. Just give me something that's going to make it go away.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is that pill's not making something go away.
Yeah.
It's going to add another problem. It's going to block another process in your body somewhere that's later on going to come down as a new symptom that then we're going to chase those symptoms and chase those treatments because it's something from the pill that you took
Yeah.
when you really need to just stop,
Yeah.
listen to yourself. And when you can truly gather that understanding, and like you said, know that it's going to take time,
Yeah.
but you can do it.
Yeah.
Once you grasp that concept, patients are very receptive to it. They just have to understand. It just takes
Ex-
that educational piece.
Exactly, and it's not something that is that is being spoken of in like on each corner of the street. It's not something that is. You said functional medicine. It sounds like hard work. And how easier is it to just go see a doctor and the doctor figures out what's wrong with me? When in truth, what I understand with functional medicine is it's a process where you are part of together with the practitioner that can read all the blood and the lab exams because I can't understand that. And then together, just sorting out all the pieces of the puzzle and then started rebuilding the puzzle. That's what functional medicine sounds to me.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, they'll think, oh, it's just woo-woo, or it's, it's still called alternative medicine, which gives people a different kind of feel about it. Like maybe it's not re real or legit. It's like maybe something off, but
Mhm,
it's not. It's very deeply ingrained in biology. And
mhm.
honestly, the first course that I went to on it, I sat there and I was like, are you kidding me? Why didn't they teach us this in the beginning? But what it is they teach us protocols and prescribing,
Mhm.
a pharmaceutical-based world,
Yes,
not true healing.
and thriving with the
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
And so all the things we put ourselves through really do cause chemical imbalances. And that's what hormones are. They're chemical messengers.
Yeah.
And when they get cut,
Yeah.
things go haywire inside of us. And those things like ADD, you get gut issues, you get pain, you get like everything stems from it. So there is still truly a physical issue, an imbalance that needs to be corrected.
Mhm,
We just do it in a different fashion. We meld a lot of things together. And that's why I said it's bridging the gap
mhm.
between traditional, holistic, and that's what functional medicine really is.
Yeah. So when you went to a course
Yes.
functional medicine. So you add it to your knowledge.
Yes.
And what is it that you think is the most perfect merging of both worlds? Is that what you created with your unique method?
Yes.
Or is that okay?
I
So
do believe that is where the best merging is
yeah.
because you do still have to look at the physical diagnoses.
Hmm.
Like, it's not that you're making blood pressure problems go away or cholesterol go away right away. It's that you understand there is that, but it's connected. It
Hmm.
isn't this diagnosis, this one. It's still connected. So that's why we do still have to run labs. We do still have to look at those things and manage those and be mindful of them. But the ultimate goal is to use the other modalities and not just give you a pill and a quick fix so that we can reset you.
Hmm.
Because there is a place for prescription stuff like hormone replacement.
Yes. And also when you break your arm, it's a very different kind of example, but when you break your arm, I'm not going to go like, ooh, I'm going to go, please doctor, help me and get rid of that pain because ay. Yes. So yeah, the merging of both worlds. And I truly want to believe that the looking at health from two different aspects and then bringing in the belief system, how we believe, what we believe in, and I'm not talking about religion, but I am convinced that so okay, maybe an example that's very interesting. Some women can eat whatever they want and they stay at the same um, weight their whole life. And some women, they are constantly on a diet, but they feel like they are constantly overweight. And I mean, everybody feels differently about their weight. So it's not about feeling, it's just that idea. And that, she can eat whatever she wants and she's never getting fat. And yeah, me just looking at sugar and I'm blowing up. I believe that, and I've seen that in many different cases. Many different situations. Like smoking is maybe a very bad example, but example of smoking. Some people can smoke their whole life and they're happily ever after, and no health issues. And some people just smoke for 2 years, and all of a sudden they get really sick because of that smoking. And I've come to understand that what we believe in is also very much an indicator of where our system is going to go. Is that something that you have an idea
In
on?
many circumstances, that there is a component to that. There's still genetics,
Hmm.
exposures to, certain chemicals and again, hormones. If we're going to talk about things like the weight and hormones play a huge role in all of that.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of mental um, contribution to health, wellness, recovery.
Hmm.
Because if you do have a mindset that's negative, you're going to have negative outcomes.
Yes.
If you have more set towards a positivity, you will have more positive outcomes.
Hmm.
That also affects cortisol levels. That affects our
Oh.
neurotransmitters.
Hmm.
That affects our gut microbiome. All of these things, the mind and the gut are so intimately connected,
Hmm.
and so are the neurotransmitters. Those three things can drive so many other areas of our life, and
Hmm.
they're very intimately connected.
Yeah.
And that's a
And
misunderstanding of a lot of the medical community also.
yes. Well, it's also maybe a very strange conversation. Like, I'm sorry, ma'am, we tried everything to repair your gut, but now we think you need to work on your attitude because you've been very negative. So it's,
Oh no, I always address the gut brain axis and that,
uh,
a lot of the mental, negativity inflames your gut and you don't absorb nutrients. Like, so you have to reset your mind. You
yeah,
have to.
exactly. It starts in the mind and then it has an influence on the body. And then whatever nourishment you bring in is just not really nourishing you, but can also make you even more sick because the gut
Mhm.
is just not receptive to that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You're not absorbing your nutrients and it's like you didn't even take in the food.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that with vitamins and minerals. If you aren't absorbing them, they're not doing you any good.
No, exactly. Yeah. 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 So let's talk about your unique method because I understand that that's the way that you are now guiding your patients.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I had to do a framework, of course. It's still individualized care, but you have to have a framework that you're working with. And so I actually start with the understanding
Hmm.
instead of starting with the diagnosis. So,
Okay.
because I believe that when we start with the story and we start with understanding how we got to where we are, everything after that is going to fall into place.
Hmm.
Because you can't tell somebody, do this. I mean, think about it as being a child, and if we're going to think about being women, how obstinate were we as teenage girls, right? Don't tell me I can't. Don't tell me, but that's usually so I've used that to take into understanding, knowledge, and education mean everything. And so it's a
Hmm.
different concept when women come to me and they're like, well, I just want to know what's wrong with me.
Hmm.
I go, well, we're going to start with the story. And then we're going to start with your mindset.
Hmm.
Then we're going to learn how to nourish your body. So that's the end of this nourishment. And nourishment isn't about a diet. I teach intuitive eating first.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not putting you on this strict regimen. It's not about calories in, calories out, because a lot of women are coming in, I need to lose weight. Well, we're gonna reset you and your weight's gonna fall off
Hmm.
because you're gonna nourish your mind with information. You're gonna nourish your body with food.
Hmm.
And we're gonna nourish the spirit also.
Hmm.
That's the connection that we're like, what? What? Explain this. And then we go back into the explaining mode. But then we individualize the care. It's every woman is different. No two women share the same story. And that's why we individualize it. That's why I want to know where the woman came from, how she got there. And we keep unfolding that story as we work together. And nothing comes out all at once. They have to trust me and we have to learn to be receptive to one another. That we're both in it for the right thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then we have to question all the patterns, what happened, why did it happen? So we go on this quest for information
Hmm.
that brings us more towards what we need to work on and prioritize.
Hmm.
And then we start to unlock the strategies that are going to work for that woman,
Yeah.
not just a protocol, but the strategies that that woman needs. And as we're doing this, she's evolving
Hmm.
into her energetic, vibrant, most wonderful self that she's been searching for, that she lost. Because none of us start in a place of despair.
No.
We get there from years of piling things on.
Hmm.
It's years of things that need to be unraveled.
Hmm.
And so step by step, we evolve and we bring ourselves back to who we really truly long to be. The woman who's happy and energetic and joyful and ready to take on the world again.
Yeah, it's years of dismissing what we feel inside
Mhm.
in order to listen to what the outside world dictates. Because somewhere along the way, we started believing that the outside world knows better than us what is good for us, which is the reason why many women go into doing from force and fighting for what they want instead of aligning with what they want and feeling the pull forward. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, that is said perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm actually working on a book right now, Strong, Beautiful, Fearless, and it's because of those thought processes that are ingrained in us
Yeah.
and how the story finds that spot. It may have been in your childhood. There may have been a trigger of something someone said to you
Hmm.
that completely turned you around to where you didn't believe you were good enough or you didn't believe you should speak up.
Hmm.
And everything after that has evolved from that one moment, which changes, our whole trajectory. But when we are able to look back at it and see it for what it is, the
Yeah.
rest opens up.
Yeah, and it even goes deeper than that. Epigenetics, for example,
Mhm.
where your mother can act in a certain way towards you because of something that happened to her, and and now you're afraid of crossing over. Just an example, without knowing why, but it's just because your mother learned that crossing over was very dangerous because her mother
Hmm.
was maybe one time crossing over and she saw her father being run over by a car or by cyclists. And then you pass on something that is unspoken, that's just a feeling, a sensation that lives in you, and you pass that on to your children because you want to protect them. When in truth, what you might end up with is just a fear of crossing over without understanding or knowing where it comes from. And if we just keep on accumulating things, we stop functioning, we stop thriving, and we just survive. Yeah,
So true.
yeah.
So true. And you know, with thinking of the epigenetics, that's a lot of things that have held women back for so many years. It was ingrained in us that we shouldn't do the things we do. We shouldn't want to expect more.
Hmm.
How long has it been that women are supposed to cook and clean and take care of children? That is so. And I live in a rural area. There's a lot of women who still believe that is their role in life.
Yeah.
And so someone like me who's coming out like, no, I'm going to change the world. I want to do this different. I'm, looked at like, what?
Yeah. Well, and it's also, and that's where the merging of masculine and feminine comes together when we in ourselves, but also in our partners. I have a husband, and we have the traditional roles as he carries the groceries. I'm never allowed to carry the groceries, but that doesn't mean he doesn't clean. That doesn't mean he never cooks. It just means that there are some things that he really wants to do for me because he wants to treat me in a certain way.
Yes.
And I think the modern perspective of being in a relationship, man woman, there's still some truth in there, but it can be woven into the 21st century. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Oh, I love all aspects. I love that there are, certain things that are of the masculine energy. They need to stay. It's not like we're trying to trample everything. And there's things of the feminine energy that are so important. And it is that meshing of the
yeah.
two.
Hmm.
Yes, sometimes it's traditional, sometimes it's non-traditional, but you get to make your own rules.
Yeah, yeah,
You get to do what serves you and works for you.
yes. One woman at a time, Marcia.
One woman at a time.
Yeah, so what I would, because we're saying one woman at a time, I also truly believe in a ripple effect of that. So have you also noticed that when one of your patients is getting back into her balance, in her unique balance, what effects does that have on her family?
Oh, it changes the world
Yeah,
because if you think about it, as the center, most women really are the center of their family and
yeah,
their extended family.
yeah.
And so if the center is falling apart, everything around her falls apart.
Hmm.
And so when that center comes back and the woman is more grounded,
Hmm.
everything falls into place.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I even teach communication skills because sometimes that's part of it, and relationship skills. Because if we don't feel safe, we act out with emotion.
Yes.
There's, like control. That's fear. That's fear of a loss of some sort.
Hmm.
So when they understand that and they can be in tune with those emotions, they don't lash out as much. They don't yell at the children, yell at the husband, or, and so when that's coming back into balance, that makes the whole system
Hmm.
work better.
Yeah.
And so when you're safe and comfortable at home and your relationships start to fall into place and your children start to notice and they feed off of the center
Hmm.
of their world.
Yeah.
So when the center is educating them, they're actually changing the epigenetics, they're changing the system.
Exactly. Rewiring. Yeah.
Neuroplasticity, yes, they're rewiring the entire system,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful thing, which frees them because it's no longer walking into this like tense situation all the time.
Mm.
But the tension releases, they feel free again.
Yeah. Yeah. The nervous system and the way our body reacts. There have been research actually where they have noticed that the heart reacts the first to whatever is about to happen around us. That's amazing to read about, and I'm curious because I work with a lot of women at the moment where the nervous system is in this time and space so important. And it seems that there are themes. A few years ago, it was a lot of women that dealt with narcissistic partners, and then also the aspect the narcissistic trends in them, or it's never only about the others. So there are those trends, and at the moment, it's a lot of women that come to me that want to. I work in a completely different field, but I support women, I coach them, I mentor them, and there's a lot of women that come with questions around the nervous system. And that just unfolds during our conversation, and the fact that they feel so unsafe in their body without, and it's just, it can be very slight change of temperature in their hands or in their body, or just something very small happening in their belly area. Is that something that you notice as well? That there are
Absolutely.
trends? Yes.
And they're noticing but they define it, they can't define it sometimes, don't have the words. And
Mhm.
so it's more like it goes into anxiety and panic.
Yeah.
And that's part of going back to the story also. Like, were you yelled at a lot as a child? Is that why when certain things start to happen, you get that and your
Mhm.
nervous system just reacts? There's so much, it's called excitability, in the synapses, and that excitability just goes haywire and they feel it all over. They can feel shocks, they can feel heartbeat problems. There's so many things that happen, and it is the nervous system.
Mhm.
And so, yes, that rewiring and doing things like EFT and tapping and meditation, that, thank goodness, is becoming more accepted
Yeah.
and not considered, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you can teach a woman to breathe, just
Mhm.
simple breathing techniques, when
Yes.
they start to feel that, come
Mhm.
on, understanding the feeling, attaching something to it, being able to breathe and connect it, the mind and the body, and work through it, it changes everything.
Yeah. It's um, it's giving them a choice again. And when the nervous system reacts for us, before us, and in that split second, it dictates how we are going to react to a situation. And it takes our power of decision. How do I want to step into this situation? How do I want to step into this moment? And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that we can do, giving women the power of choosing how to react in that moment. Because when we choose how we want to step forward, we are very conscious and present, which is something you spoke already about. It's that presence of that being together with what is happening, and then they get permission to take back that moment when, oh, I feel this, but I don't have to react on what is happening in my system. I don't have to react to that fear. I know it's just an automatic response, and rewiring that. Yeah. And like you said, breath work or dancing, shaking, tapping
Yes.
are luckily things that are very normal now. Well, normal, is it normal? I don't know. In the world that I live
They're,
in,
they're becoming more normal. They're becoming
yeah,
more mainstream. Uh,
yeah,
people laugh when I say, "Do you sing?" And they're like, "What?" I want you to sing. I want you to hum.
yeah,
Singing and humming will rewire transmission of chemical signals.
yeah,
And they're like, "What?"
yeah,
There you go. If you don't want to, because if we're working on the vagus nerve with gut issues, like gargling is something where you're not going to sit in the middle of, a meeting and gargle. But if you start like singing a song in your head or you start humming, like find something that makes you happy, that's upbeat, it can immediately change your mood,
yeah,
immediately flip what's happening.
yeah. And I think one of the best advice I ever received when doing a breathwork session was honor the body first. Because we have often thought this should be done in this way. Meditating is sitting on a chair in the lotus position and being very listening for like an hour. And if you don't do that, you're not a good meditator. And breath work, we do it this way and that way. You lay down and you move like this, and you don't move too much. And there's methods. And the best advice I was ever given was honor the body first, because the body is the thing that lives here, that feels, that is here, that communicates with the rest. For me, it's the body. And so when I started really honoring my body in a meditation, in a breathwork session, or also even in a yoga classes, so yes, accepting the direction and the guidance, but just as that, as being a guidance, and then honoring my body, because maybe when I'm doing the breath, I love doing breath work when I'm moving around. And most breathwork sessions are being done laying down to be able to absorb the most to breath. And I'm like, no, I just want to move around. Yeah, okay. And I've had the most amazing experiences. So honor the body first is one of
Honor
the,
the body first, absolutely,
yeah,
because it does speak to you.
exactly. Like you, like,
Only you know what you need. The
yeah,
subconscious mind is very powerful in telling you things, and if you listen and respond, you're going to have a positive outcome from that.
yeah, yeah. I love this. Thank you so much, Marcia.
Oh, this is great. I love this.
Yeah. So you are in a rural area, but can you also support women online, or how do you like to?
Oh, yeah, actually, my practice is primarily virtual.
Okay.
So I do still see some patients where, I'm located physically, but my functional medicine is a virtual practice. And so I do work one-on-one with women. I also have programs, like I said, the Unique Women's Society, which reaches so many that can help to explain, to understand. It teaches the mindset. It teaches connecting mind, body, and spirit, and actually what is happening to us over the years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Because some women are just like, no, I can handle this. Or they need a little nurturing into
mm-hmm,
a different type of healthcare type of
mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's mainly based in the US?
So the Unique Women's Society, that's a global platform.
Yeah, okay.
That's a global platform. Any woman anywhere can tap into that. The one-to-ones is typically in the United States arena, yeah, because of
Yeah,
licensure.
yes. I guess also that's where you are, where you know the system and you know if you need to have some blood
Mhm.
work done, or
Yes,
that's going to be the easiest. Yeah.
yes.
And I'm looking forward to your book. We
Yeah,
are
I'm so
going
excited
to,
about my book. It should
yes,
be out within the next 2 months. Yeah,
yeah.
we're doing the final touches and revisions and
So, do you work with a masculine driven deadline or with a feminine driven deadline?
a feminine driven deadline, of course. You have to honor this.
Yeah.
And it's funny you asked that because I was so pushing myself on
Mm-hmm.
this book and I would get so aggravated because the concept came up in July of last year.
Mm-hmm.
It came in a download of the whole book, and I was like, oh, and I wanted to start working on it right away. Well, then things just kept interrupting the flow, and I had to be present to know, okay, there's a reason. Sit and wait.
Yeah.
So I honored that. And recently, as I said, some of the final revisions, I realized it's because the story wasn't ready yet. The final piece to the book had not unfolded
Mm.
until recently. So by yes, listening, honoring, being in touch with the feelings, um, is going to make it a better book that's
Mm.
going to have a bigger impact on
Yeah.
a lot more women.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you one more question
Mm.
because I hear a lot of, I'm just curious about how you deal with that. I hear you're a doer. I recognize a lot of what you share in how I've been building, and the doer and the taking action and moving forward and building a path for ourselves, because I want to help at least 1 million women in my lifetime. So, but what you shared about the book, the idea came and I wanted it to be done yesterday. But still some things needed to unfold. That was for me the gift of 2025. It's not about, because now it's when, well, as we are recording this, it's the beginning of 2026. So the gift of 2025 for me was, it's not always about taking action. Doing also means waiting. And to my system, that sounds like, there's red lights going on and there's an
Yes,
alarm and there's like,
that's me.
get out of this ship, it's sinking. But so my question is, and that's very personal. I want to know how you do it so I can, learn from you. So in the doing of the feminine, there's a very different approach. Is there something that you do for yourself, a practice or an understanding that landed, or share with me? How did you find, I'm going to say patience, it's maybe not the right word, but
The patience.
no, the patience.
Yeah, I have to give it to God. I have to sit and listen and let him guide the steps. That is one of the
Yes.
hardest things to do sometimes,
Yeah.
but understanding that all of the steps are guided for us, and we just have to be patient and we
So
have to
surrendering to his guidance,
surrender.
to his
Yes.
timing.
It's difficult, but it is the most important thing.
Yes, it's and I recognize what you say. Within that surrendering, the pieces fall even better together, and the whole idea or the whole conclusion or final piece of the, like, for in your example, the book is even better than you could have ever imagined.
It is going to be more powerful than I could have ever dreamed of my own. Like I
Yeah.
said, I got the downloads a year ago and it just wasn't happening, and I'd get so frustrated. And
Yeah.
now I have to go, oh, okay, I get it. So for that driven personality that's like go, 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 build, build, build,
Yeah.
to learn to do that is a whole new game. And that's what 2025 gave for me also, is
Yeah.
learning how to sit back, surrender, breathe, and wait.
And so I have a very practical question. Do you feel that your hormone balance that you have now acquired is supporting you in that, when you look at how it was before?
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
The hormonal balance and the waiting and surrendering actually balances just as much as the being in balance
Yeah,
helps with the surrendering.
yeah.
Because instead of being so anxious, I'm able to chill. It's
Mm,
more the mind that I have to get over than it is the hormone problem now.
yeah,
Because like I said, I've built many, many businesses, and it's that drive that you don't stop until you get where you want to go.
yeah.
But that doesn't serve my purpose anymore. And that doesn't set a good example for what I'm trying to do for others.
Yes.
So it's a practice what you preach mentality now, also.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. Practice what you preach, Marcia. Thank you very much. If any of the listeners want to get in touch with Marcia, all her details are in the description for this podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your wisdom and your words and your kindness. And I hope to welcome you another time. Take
Oh, thank
care.
you. It's been wonderful. I look forward to that.
Bye.
Bye.